By 2025, it's estimated the global esports market will be worth more than $3 billion. Virtual cycling is one of several esports gaining momentum, setting benchmarks for gender equality along the way.
Jess Pratt can't wipe the smile off her face. The 22-year-old went from being a nurse in Brisbane to a pro cyclist in Europe with the Canyon SRAM team.
I sort of pinched myself. I was working in a ward as a brand new registered nurse.
Like the virtual Tour de France, the World Championships will take place on the Zwift platforms. And the next goal? The 2028 Olympic Games. The cycling app has a reported value of more than $1 billion after it raised $625 million in funding from investors. This form of e-racing is also being hailed as a game changer for gender parity in sport.
What esports offers is absolute equality, so the women and men race equal distances. The broadcast is completely equal.
Richmond is aiming to defend its crown in the AFL Grand Final against Geelong. If Richmond win and they win their third flag in 4 years, they'd be just one of 8 teams to do that in AFL-VFL history. So on the cusp of greatness there, Kirsten, and Brittany Klein, she was there and she reports from the scene.
Two sides have just held their final...
Sporting competitions across Australia are all feeling the impacts of coronavirus.
It's come to this.
There you have it. The balls are washed once they go over the fence.
Extraordinary measures in uncertain times.
An Australia without rugby league is not Australia.
The Matildas have become a dominant force in the world game. Now a growing number of players are being snapped up by England's top flight competition.
It's a new challenge. I think challenge is good, and if anything, it's challenging me mentally.
It's not just Sam Kerr. We talk about a golden generation. There's a whole host of players in this generation, but also the next.
Caitlin Ford, Chloe Lagazzo and Hayley Razzo have recently moved to England, along with uncapped teenager Jacinta Galabadaracici.
Our reporter Daniela Intili is at the Sydney Showgrounds Stadium. Danny, this is a big challenge for Australia.
It is, and Jez, a bit of a mixed start. 2 drop catches in the first 2 overs, but it's good to see that Australia did get those 2 wickets. Australia is, of course, the defending champion, the #1 ranked side and tournament favourite. But if there's a team that can derail Australia's hopes of winning a 5th World Cup, it is India.
Bridie Sewell was born with a large tumour inside her spinal cord. She had emergency surgery when she was just 3 days old.
They didn't really know what her future would be like.
Bridie went on to defy medical expectations. She made history as the youngest athlete to finish the Ausday 10K race after a big fall.
How does it make you feel?
Pretty amazing, the first little one to do it.
Danny, what's the latest on Tariq Sims?
Tariq Sims arrived here about half an hour ago. The Blues and Dragons forward will plead not guilty to dangerous contact on North Queensland's Michael Morgan. If he wins, he gets to play in the Origin decider. Folau now has 48 hours to respond and request a code of conduct hearing. It's expected he'll challenge Rugby Australia's decision, citing religious grounds and freedom of speech.
Wing spins her third. Queen Elizabeth beats Kluger.
We've just witnessed sporting greatness, and it's hard not to get caught up in the joy and emotion of what truly is a fairy tale ending for this wonder mare.
Jasmine McQuarkadale was 9 years old when she first picked up a surfboard.
And just from then, I've always loved it.
Now 16, she's the Australian Women's Indigenous Surfing Champion.
With surfing set to make its Olympic debut next year at the Tokyo Games, there's even more motivation for these young surfers to one day showcase their Indigenous heritage on the world's biggest stage.
Sarah Coit was living her dream. The talented all-rounder has won World Cups with the Southern Stars and the Ashes, but her success on the field was in stark contrast to the struggles in her private life.
It's weird because you think you're like in a good place to talk about it, then you go down memory lane.
This Southern star was in the grip of anorexia and on a path of self-destruction. Anorexia nervosa has the highest fatality rate of any mental illness. Athletes are twice as likely to develop an eating disorder because of their drive to succeed.
The last time I went to driving school, I was 16 years old. It was just before I got my licence. Let's just say it was a long time ago. So the team thought it was time I head back. But to no ordinary driving school, Porsche Driving School. This is Citroen's new C3. Steve, it's super stylish, it's fun, it's hip, it's young and a bit quirky. But one more thing, Steve, this is the first car to have a factory-fitted dash cam as an optional extra. These containers have the potential to produce 2 acres of fresh, sustainable produce and use around 100 times less land and water. We've experienced 4 seasons in a day and it's still pretty cosy in here. But Buonanotte isn't just for kids, with tweens, teens, even adults glamping out.